Oh, Jesus. So, the Bills in the books. Tom Brady beats the Bills again. 33-27. As I kind of expected. I figured that the Patriots, as I'm calling them, would defeat the Bills as they've always done. And I'm saying Tom Brady is an eternal Patriot. He's an everlasting Patriot. He'll always be a Patriot. Fuck the Bucks. No, I don't give a shit about that. Um, what is he? 34-3 now? Or 33-3 all time against the Bills, which is just ridiculous. Um, they can't seem to beat him. He is just their kryptonite. There are a few absolutes in life: death, taxes, and Tom Brady defeating the Buffalo Bills with him as the quarterback. Um, this game had its ups, it had its downs. I probably had not been as emotionally invested in any football game uh, in so long prior to today. I can't even imagine. I can't even remember the last time I was like jumping up and down and like fucking high fiving and like pumping my fists and being like, "Let's fucking go!" And like, because I go to the Bills bar or whatever, right? A backers bar, and we usually get a pretty big turnout of people. And the first half of this game was brutal. We had our standard show out of I don't know 50, maybe 50, 60 people, not quite sure. And then I want to say around halftime, I would say maybe 20 left. So we still probably had 2/3, but it definitely people left and deservedly so. The Bills were down 24-3 at half. Abysmal first half they had. But then obviously they came back late and just the last 10 minutes were some of the best Bills football I've seen in a really long time. And it was 10 minutes that kind of gave me hope and showed me something that I kind of knew, honestly. But I guess it kind of re-fortified those hopes and those thoughts for other people who may have forgotten or maybe down in the dumps because the Bills aren't leading the AFC East, or the Bills are a wild card team, or they're not, they're 2 games back of the fucking 1 seed, by the way. Just 2 games. Just 2 fucking games. And, I will say this, all right? The Bills have a top 5 offense, quarterback. I mean, they have a top 5 quarterback and they have a top 5 defense. No other top 5 quarterback has a top 5 defense. And no other quarterback can do some of the things that Josh Allen can do. And the way that he's able to put the team on his back, and the way that the Bills are able to ride him if and when the time comes and they're down for it, things go crazy with him. He's amazing. He gives you his fucking all to a fault. And today, I mean, say what you want about his, yards per attempt or yards per completion or his interception or whatever, or his play through the first half. That's fine. But what other quarterback is going to go lead your team in rushing yards, rushing attempts, touchdowns, passing yards, passing attempts, passing touchdowns? Who's going to do that? What other quarterback is going to do that? Right? Josh Allen ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown today. He threw for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns today. And he got a bulk of those numbers after getting fucking hurt. Like, there was maybe not as many rushing numbers, but I mean, he got hurt on their first scoring drive of that fourth quarter, like the 10-minute segment. Like, his knee got rolled up on when they were in the red zone down 27-10, right? I believe, or maybe it was 27-17. But it was like before the end of the game, so he still soldiered through and was able to lead several scoring drives. And I mean, he just showed you that as long as I'm your quarterback, we can win a game. We can beat anybody, because I think the Bucks will probably. I mean, the Bucks Chiefs Super Bowl is, I know it sucks because it's so boring and it's like some, college football type, mid 2010s NBA type beat where it's just like, oh, these guys again. But I mean, to me, they kind of scream at each other like we are the best teams in our conferences, respectively. And I don't know. I'd like to hear other arguments, but I feel like that those are the two best teams in the conference. I could actually see Arizona, or I don't know about Green Bay, but I could see arguments for Arizona just for how well they've played this year. You can't deny their record. And then, in the AFC, though, I mean, I would love to hear somebody tell me that the Patriots are better than the Chiefs, because that is just so not true. That is just so not true. They would get absolutely lapped, I feel like, if they played each other. But maybe they will at some point. Hopefully they do. I would love to see Mac Jones and Patrick Mahomes. Knowing that the Patriots, it'd be like a snow game or something, or where like Patrick Mahomes cannot fucking throw the ball for one reason or another. But anyway, no, the Bills, they showed me something I already knew, is with a quarterback that good and with a defense that is as good as the Bills' defense, they have a chance against any and everybody. And today proved it, because the Bucks are a fantastic team. They're undefeated at home, and the Bills were a missed penalty away from, I would say, yeah, putting the dagger in, going up by likely 4 points, taking the lead, a go-ahead touchdown towards the very end of the game. They were a missed call away from that, with 30 seconds left and one timeout for Tom Brady, which is time, definitely. But I mean, that you want to talk about a statement win, and in totality, realistically, based on seeing that performance and seeing like this team is capable again, and then just in general looking at the rest of their schedule, and the rest of the people in the AFC and their schedules, I think the Bills are fine. They didn't need to win this game. They have 4 games left. One of them is against the Patriots. I strongly think that the Bills. I'm excited for that matchup. I'll say that. But then you have the Falcons, you have the Panthers, and you have the Jets. And even if the Bills lose to the Patriots, I just can't see a Josh Allen-led Bills team losing to, at this point in the season, right, when it's nut up or shut up time. I can't see that happening. I just can't see them losing to somebody like that, one of those teams. I could see a team like, the Panthers or the Falcons trying to play spoiler. I think that's something we might want to, look out for. But 10-7, I think the Bills probably have a good chance. And even with that, if Indy beats the Patriots, then you have that week 16 week 16 game is for the division, right? If you win against New England in week 16 and they lose to the Colts next week, you guys will both have the same record, and as long as you take care of business and the Bills finish 11-6, Pats finish 11-6, you both go, what would that be, 5-1 in your division. You go 5-1, they would go 4-2 because they lost to Miami, and you beat them head to head. You split head to head, right? So it would divert to their divisional record, right? So you're very much alive, right? And this game was kind of a feather in the cap, I guess, and it would have been a great win, man, to finally beat Tom Brady one last time, because I doubt that they'll play each other again. Maybe, but to beat Tom Brady one last time in prime time on the road, defending Super Bowl champs, right, as a kind of an underdog, straight up, and also to kind of get that monkey off the back, in terms of the Bills not being able to beat good teams outside of a struggling Chiefs team. The Titans winning record, loss. Patriots winning record, loss. Steelers winning record, loss. Validity, and just not only beating a good team but beating a great team, right? I mean, you would have beaten both teams from last year's Super Bowl. That would have been so cool. That would have been awesome, especially the fashion you did it. Are you kidding me? That fourth quarter comeback against the GOAT? Are you serious? And I think at this point it's late enough in Josh's career where like little things like that. I don't think he needs those like milestone type things to really improve on his like progression. Because I mean the dude's won 2 playoff games, right? He beat Philip Rivers in a playoff game. He beat Lamar Jackson in a playoff game. And he's had several games where he's thrown 5 touchdowns or he's thrown for a ton of yards. So it doesn't. I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know what I mean? But as a fan, and just for kind of intangible sake, I guess, intangible benefits sake, would have been nice to have this game. But alas, it is what it is. They lose, and I just kind of wanted to rant about it because every time the Bills lose, I always want to kind of go back and listen to my thoughts because I don't know how to feel because I loved and it was a very entertaining game, very fun game to watch, specifically the fourth quarter, and the way the game was going, it was like, oh fuck, this is Indy all over again. You gotta be fucking kidding me. And I was gonna be really sad, because I was sad, then I was nervous, then I was so happy, so excited, then I was kind of like, ah, damn, which is much better than just being like, fuck me, like, dude, we got them fucking destroyed, and I mean it keeps up their annoying rhythm of being good one week and bad the next, because I mean you look up and down, the Bills they pretty much had identical time of possession, they had identical yardage, they had like identical totals of first down. There's only 1 turnover by the Bills. I mean, they each had like 3 sacks. The Bills rushed for 170 yards, threw for over 300. They did allow almost 500 yards of offense. That's true. Tom Brady did throw for 360, and he did give up over 100 to Leonard Fournette. That is fair. So the defense wasn't great. Wasn't very good. The defense did not have a good day. But 27 points in regulation to Tom Brady and the Bucks. How loaded that team is? Are you kidding me? Like Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Gronk is back. He was washed. His like last year they won the Super Bowl in New England, he was done. He was just not good. But he's been fucking great this year. He's been fantastic. I mean, that offense is loaded. And so 27 points, all things considered, not that bad. But yeah, it was refreshing though to see the Bills be able to run the ball. I mean, they averaged 9 yards a carry, and some people are going to be mad that they didn't run the ball more often. And I guess I can kind of see that because they started off where they literally ran the ball 0 times until a fake punt in the second quarter, I believe, which was just whatever. But when they did start to run the ball a little bit later in the game, they were like, holy shit, these sweeps with Devin Singletary are really working out, and we're getting between 7 and like 20 yards damn near every time, and I fucked with that heavy, straight up. And I mean, Devin had himself a great game. He had a couple nice catches. He ran the ball. He always runs the ball well. He's never fantastic. He's never going to go, if you give him the ball 15 times, he's probably not going to get 150 yards, but he's probably going to get you 70 or 80, which I mean, 15 for 80, that's over 5 yards a carry. And, he only had 4 rushes, but he ran the ball well. Josh Allen had over 100 yards rushing. It was a total offensive success, I think. You only scored 27 points, but I mean, that's not bad. So yeah, I thought the performance overall was pretty good. Not a ton of penalties, which was nice. But the penalties is something that, despite not being a lot of them that I can really remember, they had a huge impact on the game. Let me tell you, right? because I'm gonna be honest, that last drive when they were down 27-10, I was like, this game's not really over, um, because Josh Allen is just that good. But like, damn, I don't know about this. And they pulled within 27-17. I was like, okay. I mean, you got 8 minutes left. I think I want to say there's like 8 minutes left, and you're down 10. You've got time. And then they pulled to 27-24 with like 4.5 minutes left, and they had all their timeouts. And I'm like, okay, it's on. It is on. You know, if you can stop Tom Brady, you're golden. And they stopped Tom Brady, and they got the ball back with 2.5 minutes, and I think one timeout, which was plenty of time. They only needed a field goal, and they just went bing, bing, bing down the field. Well, not bing, 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 but they moved the ball down the field, I guess, is what I was trying to say. There was a few really big plays there. Gabriel Davis had himself a fantastic day, frankly. I know he didn't light up the fantasy numbers or anything like that, but he had himself a nice touchdown, and he saved the game, essentially. It reminded me of the Cole Beasley one-handed catch on third down against the Cardinals, all for naught. But Gabriel Davis had an amazing play where he caught the ball short on fourth down and had to muscle his way forward to save the fucking game. And that shit made me so happy, and that was such a fucking pleasure to watch. Gabriel Davis, I mean, straight up, he stole all of the snaps from Emmanuel Sanders, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I was kind of surprised that Davis was kind of phased out throughout a lot of the season so far, but to see him come back is great because I think he is a very solid player. I think he is a good player that they should definitely utilize more and give him more opportunities, right? Like there's not necessarily a big reason not to. You know what I mean? I get he's a 4th-round pick, but he played fucking well last year. You know, he played about as well as Sanders has played. And he's much younger. And I know, Sanders has got that experience, but I mean, he wasn't on the field at all today. But yeah, I mean, he put his fucking head down and picked up that 4th down. And, I was talking to a friend of mine at the game while we were watching the game, and the place was going nuts. I mean, it was great. I fucking loved it. It was the most fun I've had at that Bills bar since the Andy Dalton to Tyler Boyd touchdown, Bengals Ravens week 17 for the Bills to make the playoffs in 2017. That was crazy. But I just remember like talking to my friend and being like, okay, when it was like 4th and 3 or whatever, and I was like, I knew this was coming. Literally against the Jags, against the Titans, and I think even against the Steelers, there was a time where the Bills had the ball at the end of the game, and they had the chance to go down the field and tie / just win the game straight up, and they failed, which is not something that they did at all last year. Like pretty much every single time the Bills needed a score, they got it right at the end. Because, I mean, the Titans game, they got blown the fuck out. And the Chiefs game, they got beat by 2 scores, I think, anyway, so it didn't matter. But the Cardinals game, they showed up. They had the Hail Mary that happened. That doesn't count. But this year, it was pretty much the direct opposite. And this Bills team is so different. And it's just not nearly as good as it was last year, which is just weird to me because you have an easier schedule, frankly, and your team should be more experienced and just better because you kept everybody, but that's just not how it works. And year to year, things change. Look at the Miami fucking Dolphins. Hello, the fucking case in point. But yeah, no. When they converted that 4th down, I was like, okay, they're gonna win. So I was like, the Bills team all year round, like this entire season, they get to that point, Josh Allen's gonna take a big sack on 3rd down to get to that 4th down, or something's gonna happen. There's gonna be a false start and it'll push it back to 4th and long, or just straight up they're just not gonna convert it, and they did. And I was like, okay, they're gonna win this game. Straight up. And they were still like the 30-yard line, or the 40-yard line. They hadn't even moved the ball down the field yet. And they completed a couple more passes. They had a nice one to Dawson Knox, just like out of like the backfield, and he just ran for like 30 yards, got them like inside the 15. Then Josh Allen had that great run, and then on 3rd and 2, There's about 30 seconds left, I believe. Bucks only have one timeout. You're down 27-24. It's 3rd and 2 from, I want to say, the 5 or the 6 maybe. And you elect to throw a pass to your best player, Stephon Diggs, who did get fouled. He absolutely got interfered with. Had they thrown the flag, nobody would have said batted an eye. They didn't throw the flag. Twitter erupted, as they should have. Frankly, Diggs was getting held all game. Really frustrating stuff. I know the defense of the Bucks is not really that good. They have a nice front. They get after the quarterback, but their back end is bad. And they were getting being like drums all game long. They held Stephon Diggs all fucking game long. And had he probably gotten more targets, I think that Stephon Diggs legitimately could have put up like 150, 200 yards, like straight up. And, there were a couple plays, just like last week, where he was open and he just couldn't track the ball, which was frustrating. But, it is what it is, right? That shit happens. But, yeah, you kind of got to an interesting little point in time because, honestly, you play for the tie. I get it. 4th and 2, 25 seconds left. You kick the field goal to tie it, send it to OT. Or you go for it and you put the game away. That's what you did against the Titans. And it didn't pay off, but it was a fucking fluke of all flukes. You try it against the Bucks? Nah, coach learned and he decided to kick the field goal. I'm cool with it. I definitely prefer the call to kick in this game and not the Titans game. If he kicked in the Titans game, I would have been pissed. Just because the Bills, the Bucks had only scored 3 points, the entire second half, I believe. So, I'm not opposed to kicking that. But very frustrating because had they called that PI, that deservedly was, by the way. It's 1st and goal from the 1. The Bills have, I think, 1 timeout, maybe. No, actually, they didn't have any timeouts, but they still had, 30 seconds left, and they just needed 1 yard. They got Josh Allen, who's the biggest, strongest quarterback in the league. I mean, there's no way they can't get it in, no way. And the game's over, basically. But nope, that didn't happen. You had to kick. And then, overtime, they won the toss, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's what we want. And unfortunately, they went 3 and out, which was the worst. Absolutely hated that. And then just kind of to make things worse, I don't think it had too much of an impact on the game because it wasn't like it was on 3rd down or anything like that. But there was a really, really bad and kind of annoying PI call that has kind of been plaguing the league this year that I really do not like. Terrible call, by the way, on Levi Wallace. I think the thing that's making people upset is you're going to call that PI, but you're not going to call Carlton Davis, not doing the same thing, but fouling more flagrantly, egregiously, I don't know, on Stephon Diggs in the end zone. You're not going to call that, but you're going to call the typical, and it's kind of classic at this point, because I've seen it so much this year, is a quarterback underthrows a deep ball, and the defender runs into the receiver who's trying to come back to the ball. There's nothing that the cornerback can fucking do. And it's such a bullshit. It just makes, once again, it's another thing that really limits the defensive capabilities for cornerbacks and defensive backs. Because there's nothing you can do. Because there's no way you're going to be able to turn your head around quick enough to pick it, right? And then, also you've got a big ass receiver, Mike Evans, that you gotta contest and guard, and that's fucking hard to do. You know what I mean? But it was dog shit, and it pissed me off. And people are all upset on social media and Twitter for good reason. I think that's warranted. And obviously there was the 2nd and long, big play to Gronk to set up the 3rd and short, walk off, Rashad Perryman touchdown. Bills had their chances, definitely. and they had a really bad first half where like just the Bucks pressure was just wrecking everything, and their fronts were so loaded that it was just like you couldn't run last week, and this front is stacked. Why even bother trying? So I didn't really hate the play calling in the first half, but the pressure was insane, and it was just, and the Bucks offense was just going down the field. So it was like, fuck me, like this is bad. But they made adjustments in the second half, and they were able to get Tom Brady off the field. I mean, they punted the ball 6 times. You can't ask for much more defensively. I know they gave up a lot of yards. I know, I get it, but still. But yeah, I don't know. It was a very disappointing and sad loss, but not the worst that I've seen. Not even close to the worst this season for sure. But it would have been a nice feather in the cap, as I said before. Next week they got the Panthers, I believe, so that should be a good game. I think that should be I feel like that should be an easy win, right? I mean, the Panthers are with Cam Newton. I mean, they are putrid. They suck badly. I mean, they lost to the Falcons, and the Falcons suck badly. And we got to play both of those teams over the next 3 weeks or something. I mean, look at my fucking chops, let me tell you. But yeah, man, I don't know. I would say the biggest issues that I had was the first half woes, and just, I guess, not being able to get pressure on Tom Brady, I would say, because the Bills blitzed a lot, just like the Bucks did, and maybe you can attribute that to the offensive line being better for the Bucks, and I think the Bucks offensive line is significantly better than the Bills, frankly. But I mean, the blitz worked, and they were all over Josh all the time. And I don't want to say the offensive line played terribly or it was bad, because they run block pretty well the few times they did do it. And Josh was only sacked 3 times, but I don't know. It was kind of rough for them. Josh also broke out of a shit ton of sacks too. So, but yeah, early on the pressure was so bad they couldn't force any, and the Bucks were just dialing it up, and it was unbelievable. And so, that's how you kind of got down by so fucking much so quickly. And I think Tom Brady just kind of has the Bills number, because, this is the first game any team had thrown for over 300 yards. And I think only the second game where a quarterback had thrown more than 1 touchdown in a game, which is kind of crazy. I'm pretty sure, I think Mahomes had 2 touchdowns, or maybe, now that I think about it, Mahomes or maybe Heineke had 2 touchdowns. And so, they have a ton of really good players. They have a great quarterback, obviously. And so, I don't know. I think the Bills played a good game, straight up. Obviously, the first half sucked, but I think the second half was such a fast improvement that it kind of, you don't completely wipe it away, clearly, but it balances it out. Because had we won, we would have been like, holy shit, we rushed for almost 200 yards. We threw for over 300 yards. We beat Tom fucking Brady. Holy fuck. We beat the Bucks, the defending Super Bowl champs, the team that is probably going to be one of the top seeds in the entire playoffs. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Be interested to see how the Bills play next week, because if they are continuing this trend of good 1 week, bad 1 week, good 1 week, but bad 1 week, can't speak, next week, then they're due for a bad game, right? I mean, because this was a good game, I would say. Start out bad, but I think in totality this was a good game by the Bills. So will they lay an egg the way they laid an egg to the Patriots, the way they laid an egg to the Jags, to the Steelers? Will they lay an egg against the Panthers? I don't know. I mean, the Cardinals laid an egg to the Panthers and they got their asses kicked. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit of questions, and it can be, it's possible, based on trends, but I think they'll be okay. I am a little concerned though for Josh's health moving forward, because I mean, dude, he was in a walking boot. I haven't seen anything or heard anything one way or the other. Apparently they think it's his foot and they think he'll be fine, but I mean, fuck me, like he's amazing. He is unbelievable. But I hope he's okay. I doubt he'll miss time, but obviously we don't know. I was actually really scared. I remember talking and we like, watch, if the Bills win this game or if they lose this game, there's going to be a report like tomorrow morning, or like there's going to be on some like Derrick Henry shit where he has something severely wrong with like his leg or his foot or his knee, and he's going to be out the rest of the season despite like playing the entire game. Like I fucking hope not. I'm scared, and I'll be glued to Twitter. I'll be glued to ESPN.com until probably like tomorrow night, just in case if there's like an MRI that's done, because obviously the team runs through him. If they don't have him, they have nothing. Yeah, he literally puts the team on his back. He did it today. He's done it all season long, and he's really done it his whole career. And so I think that's something you got to admire about him, and that's to me, that's the reason why he is a top 4 quarterback in the league. But yeah, I don't know. It sucks. They lost. It's not the end of the world. If they lose next week, it is the end of the world, essentially. But yeah, big rant. Go Bills.